We are back in Portugal. We are back in Portugal after living 20 years abroad. Yes, myself and Tony, we lived, we can say, half of our life in Portugal. Then we moved for 20 years outside of Portugal, mainly in US and in Belgium. And after returning back and being here, we have some opinions. We actually have what's called a reverse cultural shock, which is a cultural shock you have when you go back to your home country and you find some things really interesting on a positive note, and you find some things, I don't want to call them negative, I would like to call them opportunities for improvement or challenges to be conquered. So let me start talking about those points. Let's start positive ones. Before starting, I want to add here a big disclaimer. Notice, again, this is based on our life experience and it's our opinion based on our experiences. So take that into note when you listen to what we have to say. And by the way, behind me is the beautiful weather of Alentejo. I'm here on a lovely path full of beautiful flowers where you listen to the birdies sing, which I've arrived riding my bike because that's basically how we roll here. Bike everywhere or just walk everywhere. But more on that in a future video. But let's start with some of the positive cultural shock. Okay, let's start on the positive side. So first of all, I think for us was community. The community in Portugal is amazing. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because they get genuinely so happy when you move to a place where they live. They genuinely love it to see someone that is not from the area to move in and settle and really appreciate what their city, what their region has to offer. And the most amazing thing is that then the community just keeps on giving. Like some examples is folks knew we were settling in and had little kids, so they thought to bring us some toys. Other folks brought us eggs. Another really good example of community is yesterday we noticed that our plate in the car was almost falling down and we're like, oh man, we need to get that fixed as soon as possible. And we went to the mechanic and he was like, sure, immediately fixed it and that was done. I mean, they were so available to help you immediately. If this had been in the US, we would probably have to call and they will be like, no, today, you're coming today, I'm sorry, come another day, book for maybe next week. It would be so difficult to get this willingness from the mechanic to just help you in that exact moment. And here folks are amazingly willing to help you and whenever you need. Number two, it's healthcare. When we were in US, healthcare was so stressful. Even though we had a pretty good insurance through our company, every time you went to the doctor, you never knew what will be the bill you were getting. You looked like you're playing Russian roulette. You never know how much they're going to be charging you. And even if you ask up front, rarely they can tell you. The response I would get is like, oh, I don't know. It depends on the codes that the doctor is going to pick up. Only he knows. And I was like, what? Can I just understand how much this treatment is going to cost me? Here in Portugal is so easy to navigate both systems. We've navigated the public and we navigated the private. We actually have a private health insurance. So we have a private health insurance with MeetCare, and we will do a video about it if you want to learn more about them. For us and our two kiddos. And we pay like $100. Yeah, you heard me well, $100 per month. We have 8 free appointments and then the rest of them we pay at the discounted fee. And we have over 1 million coverage if we have a serious disease. So it's pretty amazing. And every time we go to the doctor, to the private sector, we know exactly how much we're gonna pay. And the receptionist can give us this information from the get-go. So healthcare has been incredible, and we missed it so much, to be easy to navigate and to not be an element of stress. Just to give you an example, in US I had a skin rash under my eyes, and I was really struggling. I couldn't almost see, and I went to urgent care. I did not go to urgency in a hospital. I knew better because that's really expensive. I went to an urgent care, and basically I got out of there with a bill of $700 because it was an urgent care, and they gave me a prescription for a cream, and they gave me a coupon, and I thought, wow, in US you get coupons for everything. What is this about? And I was like, okay, awesome, a coupon. I went to the pharmacy and I gave the pharmacist the coupon, and he looks very serious at me and says, ma'am, you have here an amazing coupon. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like 10%. And he was like, no, ma'am, this means you're gonna be paying $10 for a cream that cost 400. Yes, 400. So here in Portugal, that exact cream cost me $2. In Belgium, it costed me $4, and I could just get it without a prescription. It's so amazing to have that stress removed off your shoulders, the healthcare. It's so nice to be out and about, and if something happens, you can call your private insurance and they'll take care of you. If you need to go to the public system, they will always take care of you as well. It's such a relief, especially when we have small kids, that anything can be a broken something. And in US, we were always a little bit stressed about it. And here, we don't have anything to stress about. We know we're gonna be well taken care, no matter public or the private system. Number 3. Number 3 is education and schools in general. As we returned, we were able to still get a spot for our kids in a public school. And it was easy. We reached out to the school agrupamento, we told them our situation and asked if they had openings for our both kids. They were able to get in, and it was seamless. And we've noticed, so they came and they spoke zero Portuguese. They basically understand everything because we kind of exposed them to the language since they were little, but the talking part wasn't at all there. And we noticed day by day, they're getting better and better. So in no time, they will be absolutely fluent. But the thing about the public schools is that they're so accessible. I mean, when we had any issue with any of our kids, we would reach out to the teacher, and she was super available to talk through it with us, address our concerns. They're just like amazingly available, and they honestly care for the kids and for their well-being. And the second thing is that they do some pretty awesome activities. They've gone to the theater in Lisbon. They've gone to nature parks where the animals run free. They do such amazing events. And the best of all, how much does this cost me? Zero. The only thing I need to pay for them is their meals. Get like the little bib. I don't know if you've seen, but they have these little cute bibs so they don't get their clothes dirty. And basically just chip in for the activities of the kids when they go out. But that's basically it. And we feel safe. The thing that I appreciate the most is that my kids will probably never remember what is an active shooter drill. Yeah, you heard me well. In US, already when they were in kindergarten, when they were tiny babies, they had to run through active shooter drills. You've heard about fire drills, but have you heard about freaking active shooter drills? Where they need to like simulate that a crazy person armed with like a lethal weapon, not like a tiny weapon, you know, like semi-automatic rounds, goes and just starts shooting left and right. That to us, coming from Europe, was always an absolute shock having to deal with that and having those concerns about safety in our kids. But most of all is we are so happy to be here and feel safe. You don't need to worry about these things. This is not an issue. The next positive reverse cultural shock for us is just being back and a culture that appreciates a slow pace of things. And by that I mean that when you go to a social event, folks can stay there for hours. There's no beginning and ending of this social event. There's just like sharing and having honestly a good time. And the other thing is that here, rarely anybody, when you meet, asks you, what do you do or for whom do you work for? And for instance, in US, that was very common. It's like, oh, what do you do? Who do you work for? It would just like jump immediately into work, 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 work. Here, folks, when they meet you, they probably ask something like, Donde é? Where are you from? What do you do for fun? It's all about the social aspect. It's like, where's your family from? Where have you been? It's more about you the person. What do you like? Where do you live? Where have you been? Rather than work. What do you do? Work. So it's really nice to have that shift. On the beginning, it actually surprises us because we had like already, when we were in social events in US, you already had that speech prepared, like I work at here, I do this, and this is the things I'm doing. Here, you never, like, someone maybe asks us, what do you do? We say, we are engineers, and the conversation stops there. They don't care what we do. They don't want to know about our work. They're more interested about what we like to eat, drink, travel, and have fun. Let's go to the next one. So coming back to Portugal to live permanently after 20 years of being abroad, a big surprise to us was the restaurant scene. Oh my God, it has improved tremendously. There's so much variedade. Sorry, English word, hard to come out. There's so many different places. Even within the Portuguese cuisine, there's fusion, there's vegetarian. Okay, vegetarian, side note, mainly in the big cities. But still, there's so many restaurants. That's incredible. You can try everything. In a big city like Lisboa or Porto, you have restaurants from every corner of the world. Our next one is still tied to the topic of slow living, and it's slow dining. We really appreciate some slow dining, where you go to a restaurant and you're not being rushed to leave, especially when there's almost nobody else. What's the need to do that? They let you enjoy your meal at your own pace. That is absolutely lovely. And many times you actually need to chase them to get your bill with the universal gesture of, wow. We've noticed this works in every single country we've been. When we were in US, it was like almost like magic. The moment the employee notices your utensils hit that plate in the direction that indicates you finish your meal, the bill is there. And I understand also why this happened. If you think about the structure of a restaurant in US, you know that those waiters are paid very little. So they depend on tips. So the more they rotate that table, the more tips they get. I understand that for them. The last one is online shopping. Back in the day, 10 years ago in Portugal, it was very hard to get stuff delivered to your door. It was mainly the biggest supermarkets that will do that. But here in Portugal, after COVID hit, actually positive thing of that event is that online shopping has bloomed, so you can get absolutely everything delivered to your door front. We are in Alentejo, which doesn't have a lot of specialty shops in terms of like supplements and some specific organic international food, and we buy it from shops across all Europe and they get delivered to our door, and that's absolutely awesome. I know there's lots of impacts with the delivery and all the footprint and all those challenges, but honestly, when you're a parent of small children, it's such a blessing to have things shipped to your front door. We are shifting gears into the section of cultural reverse shock of what I want to call challenges, opportunities for improvement here in Portugal. Can you listen to me? Can you hear me well? Is it a good spot to be talking to you?